All right, we're now being recorded, so I am going to share my screen and we can get ourselves started.
Okay. Okay. All set?
Whenever you are ready, this is loading and we're all set.
Okay.
So at this point, I will turn it over to Courtney and Jerry, our PFA co-presidents, and I want to thank everyone for attending. Go ahead, Courtney.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Courtney Langford. I'm one of the PFA co-presidents here at the high school, along with Jerry Moore, who's on here this morning as well. Welcome back to our school year. We just want to go over a few things of business before we go back to Principal Egan for his welcome back message for all of us for the school year. A reminder, I'm sure you've been receiving links that tomorrow night is open house. The freshmen will start at 6:30 with their guidance counselors, and then all of us will begin at 7 with our teachers. Another date to keep in mind for seniors, there's a senior year overview, September 15th at 8 a.m. There is a 9th grade networking meeting, September 21st at 9:30 a.m. That will be a welcome to the high school. And then a 12th grade networking meeting, September 23rd at 9:30 a.m. And that's the college process follow-up and senior year essentials. Bill, can that screen go back up or no? Oh, there we go. Okay. So I hope that all of you have noticed that we have tried to make a more concise communication strategy for you to get the information to you as easily and cleanly as possible. So we have done a new weekly called the Weekly RAM. It's not too different, but it is more concise and it has more visually appealing logos. And that will be coming out to you on Mondays, like it always has. And if it's not, if it's like a week like this, it'll come the day we start school. We also will do the Ramagram every month, and that too is going to look a little different. What's really different this year is we've really focused on doing a social media push because we've realized that a lot of you are getting your information that way. So we have someone handling our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Facebook. And we are trying to make those as updated as possible. When we are sending out information through email or text, it will also be on these. So you can see on the screen here, Twitter is Twitter at NCHS_PFA. The Instagram handle is Insta at NCHS-PFA. And for Facebook, if you search Parent Faculty Association, that will come up for you. Also, our website is still the same web address, nchs-pfa.org, but you will see that that too is very different, cleaner, and hopefully more user friendly. There you can find out everything that we are doing for you and your family, as well as an opportunity to donate to the PFA, which we would really appreciate. Listed on there are the things that the PFA does to help support your children. And it also gives you access to the online directory. There'll be no printed directories this year. So if you're looking to access the directory, you will need to join the PFA. Other than that, I think that we have communicated everything that you need to know so far via our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and our emails. If there's any questions, you certainly can email the PFA or get in touch with us through our website. And I'd like to turn it over now to Meg Mayhouse, who's going to talk to you about SLOBs, which is the Service League of Boys. Meg?
Hi, good morning. My name is Meg Mayhouse, and together with Carolyn Corcoran and our sons, Charlie Mayhouse and Charlie Corcoran, we are co-presidents of New Canaan High School SLOBs. SLOBs, as Courtney said, stands for Service League of Boys. We're the largest club at New Canaan High School with over 200 student members, plus parents and guardians. We support more than 40 local philanthropies, including Filling in the Blanks, New Canaan Food Pantry, Staying Put, Kids in Crisis, Sports Buddies. Those are just very few. This club has been a great experience for my son and myself. Will be our 4th year as members. And I've watched Charlie embrace philanthropy and enjoy helping others and take on leadership roles with the club as both the philanthropy liaison and also as a student board member. Not to mention that it's been really a lot of fun volunteering together with him. So I highly recommend this club. It's a great experience. To learn more about SLOBS, you can visit our website at newcanaanslobs.org. On our homepage, you can click the member registration link to join. Current members should go there as well and renew their memberships. And in addition, we'll be holding a special new member meeting on Wednesday, September 22nd at 6:30 p.m. And we'll share more detailed information and answer questions there. The student board members will be at the high school club fair, and the first SLOBS general meeting of the year will be held on Saturday, September 25th at 2:30 p.m. in the high school cafeteria. So feel free to reach out to me with any questions. My contact information's in the PFA directory. You can also email me through the SLOBS website. So thank you, and thank you PFA for giving us the opportunity to share.
Thanks, Meg.
Thanks, Meg. So at this point, Courtney and Jerry, are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Awesome.
Turn it over to you. Sure. Thanks.
Awesome. As we go through our presentation today, if you have questions, the one thing I ask you to do is use the Q&A function as we're going through the presentation, and we'll try and answer them either during or at the end as well, okay? Also with us right now is Kevin Ryan. He's our special ed administrator. Kevin, wave to everybody. Perfect. And he is able to join us. That's awesome. You know, one of the things I was thinking about as we came back to school this year is this quote by Brene Brown. You know, our district, I think, has really done an amazing job, and the high school has done an amazing job. But with so much of this pandemic, you know, we really didn't know what to expect. And I was struck by this quote because it's truly not about winning or losing vulnerability. It's about having the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome. You know, when this pandemic started, none of us knew what the outcome would be, and still don't in many ways. But we wanted to make sure that we were here and here for kids. And truly the entire district came together to do really what's in the best interest of our kids. Parents were so supportive through last year and continue for us here at the high school. And, you know, truly it's an amazing place. But I was really struck by this because none of us really knew what the outcome would be when the pandemic started, and kind of still don't. But, you know, we know what the best thing for kids is, and that's to be in school and to be in school every day. That said, we're now entering the third school year of dealing with this pandemic. You know, my daughter does not go to New Canaan, but she's also a junior. So really, for any of us with juniors, they have not gone through one normal high school year so far. You know, the freshman year was impacted. Obviously, last year was impacted, and as we start this year, we're impacted. But even though there are real and lasting challenges for students and obviously for adults, we still have precautions in place, but we're going to see more of a return to normal school life. And part of that is because of our high vaccination rates, obviously of staff, but also the community has really embraced that, and our kids that can be vaccinated for the most part are. So we have high vaccination rates here at the high school, and that's going to allow us to do things like work collaboratively in classrooms. You know, one of the things we did as administrators is we really wanted to chronicle what happened in the pandemic. You know, I truly wish I could see everybody's face as we do these things, because you never know how things kind of go off. But we really kind of wanted to chronicle what happened in the pandemic. And if you think of this in terms of rounds, really we're now in round 3, but we're kind of going to go through all the rounds. In the very beginning of this, and you should see toilet paper in the background. If you're kind of confused about what that is, that's toilet paper in the background. So anyway, as much as I will embarrass all the administrators for putting this on, this is our version of Rocky and kind of going through the pandemic. We wanted things that would kind of be of our sort of age range as well.
Bill, you got to get up, man. You got to do something. Everything's going to be all right. You got plenty of toilet paper. Bill, make sure that you get up and do something. We need you. And bring me a roll of toilet paper.
Cut me, Ari. Cut me.
For those who don't know, I had knee replacement.
This year, we're gonna knock out COVID, and we're gonna do it together. And here's how.
I so wish Mr. Rothman was here today to be able to kind of have people talk about his flexibility. Truthfully though, we really have come a long way in the pandemic. If you think about the beginning stages of the pandemic, we were all kind of sitting at home and not know what to do. And then we've come to school, and it feels like in some ways we get knocked back on our heels. But truthfully, I think with the vaccinations now, we're going to hopefully see ourselves get ahead of this. Oh,
Bill, you got to get up, man. You got to do something. Everything's going to be all right.
There we go. All right, I do want to welcome some new staff. We do have pictures up in the hallways when you do have a chance to come to school, but we do want to welcome new staff. We have Maggie Penoyer in art, Catherine Crump in English, Kevin Devine, who's teaching mathematics and a business class for us. Also in mathematics, we have Ariana Perino, school counselor Dan Farina. In social studies, we have Ruth Bosco. World language, we have an ESL specialist, Elizabeth Camano. Jill Hargis, a French teacher, and Pedro Quintero is a Spanish teacher. In special education, we have Kate Johnson as a long-term sub for Ashley Lewis, Sierra Clark, and Jenna Wilson as well. I also forgot Rainis. Rainis's last name is, again, Kevin?
Visners.
Visners is also a special education teacher.
And
that's not him.
That's not him. That is not him. But
we
also
have a long-term substitute in for Maggie Hamill through December, and her name is Ashley Wallace.
Correct. I think I skipped through that slide, but that's correct. And Hai Ming is here as well. For those of you from the middle school, she's going to be here one class teaching Mandarin for us. One of the things I wanted to do was I was struck by this video I saw, because while this is not New Canaan, this certainly could be New Canaan. And honestly, the pandemic has made everyone kind of realize how important, everyone's emotional health is. And the truth is, we all need to take care of ourselves and each other. And I just hopefully everybody can humor me. This is about 7 minutes long, but I'd like to watch this with you. Hopefully there's not an ad. There may be.
All right, guys, it's time to max out. You guys ready to go?
I had the beat by the way.
This is Sandy Max 30, baby. We ain't playing today. As long as you push and max out your body, you will get results. Do you see this?
Gotta get
this
ads
is work.
free,
We don't lift weights in Insanity Max 30. We lift us. Make that chest work. Make that tricep work. I don't care what level of fitness you're at. Just do the best that you can do.
Let's get through that first.
Seem to have it all. They come from affluent families, they go to good schools, have good friends, and great grades. But a closer look may surprise you. Things aren't as good as they seem, as these students often struggle with the very real pressures of privilege. By most accounts, Mercer Island, Washington is an ideal place to raise a family. Yeah, it's expensive, but just about anywhere near Seattle is. But there are perks. The public schools, for example, are among the highest achieving in the state. These kids seem to have everything, including near perfect grades.
A quarter of our class has GPAs over 3.9.
Over 3.9.
3.9. Mm-hmm.
It all sounds pretty good, right? These students are from the class of 2020. Thomas Lee, Zitong Wang, Megan Akakabal, and Joe Gormley. We talked with them in their last semester before heading off to college. And it was that last bit, college, that was first and foremost on their minds.
We all tell ourselves that our GPA doesn't define us, but it really does here.
The end goal isn't to learn, it's to get a number. It's just how much of kind of what you guys have been working towards is about getting into a top school? A lot of it.
All of it.
All of it.
With record low acceptance rates at top colleges, it's pretty well known that students feel pressure to outcompete each other. But what isn't widely known is the toll that pressure can take.
How do you see that manifest itself? Physical tears and like mental breakdowns from failure, what we consider failure, which is really nowhere near what other people would consider failure, and also the fear of failure.
It's not unexpected to see someone crying in the bathroom or coming to the lunch table and sobbing, and then, 5 minutes later, cleaning themselves up and going to class, pretending like it didn't happen.
A close friend of mine was struggling very, very badly and almost took his life in front of me.
That kind of mental anguish has stayed largely below the research radar. In fact, psychologist Sonia Luther, professor emerita at Columbia University, actually stumbled on those troubles. Back in the 90s, she was studying children struggling in low-income families, and she used as a control group students from more affluent schools, ones we generally think have it all. But they were suffering too.
What did you think was the cause?
At that point, I wasn't even sure it was a real thing.
So what do they all have in common?
Unfortunately, what they all have in common is this unrelenting, insidious pressure to achieve and do ever more. Not even succeed, but it's relentless. It's keep succeeding.
And the ripple effects of that unrelenting stress can be debilitating. Luther spent more than 2 decades studying the problem. She consistently found that students from affluent schools are suffering from higher rates of substance abuse, depression, and anxiety, as much as 3 times the national norm.
Nobody, including myself, could fathom that truly kids who are living lives of privilege in terms of the educational opportunities and homes they live in, neighborhoods and so on, that they really could be doing more poorly than the average American kid.
The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation now notes that excessive pressure to excel ranks right up there with poverty, trauma, and discrimination as factors hurting adolescent wellness.
To hear that our children that are in high-achieving schools and affluent communities have the same risks is really startling.
Liz Evans and John Martin are both parents on Mercer Island. Evans is also a pediatrician.
In our office, at least at Mercer Island Pediatrics, we feel like psychiatrists most of the time.
What kinds of things do you hear from students?
We have kids that cut out of stress. We have eating disorders. The younger children tend to have more somatic complaints, so tummy aches and headaches. And as they get older, it becomes more of the substance abuse and suicidality that becomes more of a concern.
As for Martin, well, he's voiced his concerns enough about the privileged at risk to know what you're probably thinking right about now.
So it sounds a little whiny. We start talking about affluence and, these poor rich kids, and they're depressed and they're anxious and wah, right? Too bad for you, right? You make some good coin. You got resources. What's your problem, buddy? When it's your kid struggling, it becomes real.
But many parents, even teachers, aren't aware of just how much stress is hurting because many teens don't talk about it to anyone.
You don't want to show that you're struggling. You don't want to show that waking up in the morning is an accomplishment for you. It's that it kind of strips you down.
When you have so much on your plate, but you have to prove you're capable, you can't show any signs of weakness or talk to the counselor and get help. When you're hiding it, it just becomes worse.
That lack of openness and communication is what Luther zeroed in on when she was asked to come to Mercer Island to help students cope with that pressure to succeed.
Have a conversation. And if your child does tell you, I'm overwhelmed, I'm so anxious, I can't sleep, I'm terrified, that's the time when you pull back. Ask your child.
She visited twice, once in 2006 and again in 2019. The data she gathered sparked a community conversation that's helped develop prevention and awareness programs, including reducing the stigma around mental health counseling.
When you realize your worries are also shared by the 360 something students in your class, you all of a sudden feel like it's not so bad.
Where's the pressure coming from, you think? Is it from parents? Is it from teachers? Is it pressure that you put on yourselves?
It's all three, I think.
It's like you were made to go on the path.
What's the answer? You think they've tried to de-emphasize sort of the importance of AP and honor courses? Is that
I think it's very difficult. It's really trying to change the culture. It's been like put into our minds when we were in, kindergarten and first grade.
COVID, however, changed everyone's calculations about everything and sent students' stress levels on a whole new kind of roller coaster. Luther and her nonprofit research firm, Authentic Connections, surveyed 14,000 students just after the pandemic started last year, and what they found was a drop in the rates of serious depression and anxiety.
They're lower instead of higher.
Consistently lower. It's like a bunch of snow days that you got unexpectedly.
Our group of now socially distant students told us exactly that.
These past few months have honestly not been too bad.
We can deal with not having grades. We can deal with not putting our academics first, not going around the clock. We can live without school, but there are some things that we can't live without.
But the respite was short. Just a few months later, as schoolwork increased again, Luther found the levels of depression and anxiety shot right back up to pre-pandemic levels or worse.
You're already in a transition moment in life trying to go to college, and all of a sudden there are so many more factors to consider, and it's not just deciding which college, it's deciding how you're going to do college.
We do expect a lot of our young people, but Sonia Luther's research has shown that as students head back to school this fall, many of them will be expecting even more of themselves. Now that's admirable indeed, as long as achievement isn't the only measure of a young person's worth.
I want to emphasize my message is not that kids should be told don't work hard. Absolutely not. Do work hard. There is a point where we value your sanity and your well-being, and we are not willing to let that be compromised.
My name is Hannah, and today I'm going to be taking Everlywell's Food Sensitivity Comprehensive Test. The great part about Everlywell is that you don't have to go anywhere and you can take the test whenever you want to at the comfort of your own home. I did it. I just took my test.
One of the things that I was struck by as we were watching that is really a couple things. We do want our kids to work hard. We do want our kids to be as successful as they possibly can be. But I think it's really vitally important that they know, and I told our staff this, and it's really the entire community, I guess. It's okay not to be okay. I mean, that's one of the things that I've been kind of struck by as we've gone through this pandemic, that at one level or another, all of us have not been okay at some point. And really to kind of listen, as I know you do, to your kids. And if they need something, let's reach out, because in many respects, that could be our community. Our kids are really talented, hardworking kids. And I just want to make sure that if they need help, that we get them the help that they need. Some guiding principles that we talked to the kids and our staff about the other day is that we're going to connect students to their peers, their school, and their teachers. We want to keep students healthy in all domains of their life. And we're going to partner with families and community members to support the success of all students. Those are our guiding principles. I do have another little clip here. Rita Pearson is somebody who I've talked about for years. And truthfully, she is so focused on relationships, because the truth is no real learning happens unless relationships are at the core of what we have. Dr. Alexi talked to the entire district the other day, and said, education is really a social connection. And the truth is, you can think back to all of your childhoods as well, and think about who were your favorite teachers. Much of it had to do with relationships more than the content. But let's just give this 2 minutes just to kind of share.
Ever look at your home and want to change everything? Download Thumbtack. It's the app that finds you.
We know why kids don't learn. It's either poverty, low attendance, negative peer influences. We know why. But one of the things that we never discuss, or we rarely discuss, is the value and importance of human connection. Relationships. I have had classes that were so low, so academically deficient that I cried. I wondered, how am I going to take this group in 9 months from where they are to where they need to be? How do I raise the self-esteem of a child and his academic achievement at the same time? One year I came up with a bright idea. I told all my students, you were chosen to be in my class. Because I am the best teacher and you are the best students, they put us all together so we could show everybody else how to do it. One of the students said, really? I said, really? And I gave him a saying to say, I am somebody. I was somebody when I came. I'll be a better somebody when I leave. I am powerful and I am strong. I deserve the education that I get here. I have things to do, people to impress, and places to go. And they said, yeah. You say it long enough, it starts to be a part of you. Both my parents were educators. My maternal grandparents were educators. For years, I watched my mother take the time at recess to review, go on home visits in the afternoon, buy combs and brushes and peanut butter and crackers to put in her desk drawer for kids that needed to eat, and a washcloth and some soap for the kids who didn't smell so good. See, it's hard to teach kids who stink. Years later, after she retired, I watched some of those same kids come through and say to her, you know, Miss Walker, you made a difference in my life. You made it work for me. You made me feel like I was somebody when I knew at the bottom I wasn't. And I want you to just see what I've become. And when my mama died 2 years ago at 92, there were so many former students at her funeral. It brought tears to my eyes, not because she was gone, but because she left a legacy of relationships that could never disappear. Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Is this job tough? You betcha. Oh God, you betcha. But it is not impossible. We can do this. We're educators. We're born to make a difference. Thank you.
You know, the truth is every child does need a champion. But it all starts with the relationship. You know, we talk all the time with our teachers about you have to have a connection with the kid before they'll ever learn from you. That's my presentation here. A couple things that we want to make sure that we share with you guys. You know, we're going to be consistent with our communication. We asked teachers to reach out to every kid and / parent, at the very least the children, before school started, to kind of say, hey, welcome to my class. I hope you really enjoy it this year. I hope you all received that communication from them. But things that we're going to do is we're going to be honest, we're going to be brief, we're going to be consistent, we're going to use stories, and we're going to try and connect with all of you and everyone in our community. You know, some things that we asked the kids the other day and our teachers as well, you know, we want to make sure that we take care of ourselves first and foremost and each other. Our health should come before our homework. Our family should outweigh frustration, and learning is more important than grades. You know, all that sounds like it should be common sense, but sometimes it's not that easy. In my own household, that's not that easy. We will continue to meet regularly. We're going to adapt and adjust as situations evolve. Again, this pandemic has been a very fluid thing, and we've had to make adjustments all last year. And if we have to this year, we will as well. And finally, again, be kind to ourselves and each other. You know, there's some things that you guys, we want to make sure that everybody knows this year. We do have study halls for freshmen. people have asked for that, at least since the time I've been here, to have a little consistency for freshmen as they come in the building and to learn a little bit about what it's like to be a high school student. So there will be some modules that our ICT team, that's our tech team, are creating to help freshmen out, that they can also use that during their time in study hall. Now, they could still utilize a sleep-in. We ask that you call to let us know, and they could also access the leave early. Again, call to let us know. It's really the middle 2 blocks that freshmen will have kind of mandatory study hall. Off-campus policy still applies for our sophomores, juniors, and seniors. You do need to make sure that you fill out the off-campus form so that they have access. We're doing something a little differently this year. We're starting a system where we're going to be scanning student IDs to leave so that we have knowledge of who's actually leaving. And we're going to ask all students to scan out somewhere, whether they drive out or if they're walkers, that they scan out through our campus monitors up in the main office area. We've added something called RAM time on Tuesdays this year, and that's going to be starting next week at the 14th for the first time. And really what that's done is it's going to be a half hour linked to the last block of the day on Tuesday. And students will have the access to get extra help from any teacher that they need help from in the building, or at the very worst, start on their homework. They do have to stay. It's not an excuse to leave the building. They do have to stay in their classes. The only thing that would be different is if they had off campus and they had that period off, they're that block free, they don't have to come back for that, but they can, because we want students to access as many teachers as they can to get help. A couple of things, we moved connections this year to Wednesday so that our RAM time and connections wouldn't be on the same kind of class days. And then also we brought back some things where language lab, writing center, math center all came back this year. And the science labs returned as well. And with that, we've added credit for students because they were actually putting in more seat time. So they have 1 1/4 credits for their science classes. The hope is actually more kids will take even science classes, because when you get a 4th year, they'll give you 5 credits, and it'll help with their new graduation requirements that went into effect a couple of years ago as well. Just show you briefly the schedule. This is what it looks like. It's more confusing to you than it is to kids. Here is a color example of that, what it would look like on every other day. You'll see you'll have your classes on A day, C day, E day, and a G day, and they rotate. Our classes now rotate fully through. So you'll never have, the classes will happen at different times during the day. Before, we used to rotate mornings and afternoons, but not fully rotate. Now we fully rotate our schedule. And RAM time is really an opportunity for students to access resources and get a head start on their work. We are still following mitigation strategies in the building. You know, as I said before, we are very fortunate because of our vaccination rates. So it's going to allow us more freedom than we had last year. You know, students are going to be allowed to work cooperatively in classes, which is great. So that if they're working in groups, they can get together in groups. But when they're finished, we ask that they go back into rows. It's really the time that they're working together, you know, is new this year for us. But we still are going to be separated for about 3 feet when they're not working together. And additionally, we're asking teachers to give mask breaks as well, so that students can you know, be able to take their masks off as well. Additionally, you know, we asked outside is still better than inside. We're going to be setting up some spaces outside. Some of you may have seen, hard to tell right now with all the construction going on, but we have paved, it's getting finished today actually, paving in the back area. The PFA generously bought tables for us last year, and that they're going to be going up hopefully next week in that area in the back. And that can also be used for outdoor classrooms as well when lunches are not in session. You should hear your students talk a little bit about ClassLink this year. That's really just a resource page for students that they can kind of have one-stop shopping. And on their devices at home, there's a little home button as well. They can click on that to get to ClassLink. Their school ID will be on there. There's an app they can use and have that. That will help when they're leaving campus, that they could just scan their ID. Schoology is something that we've kind of increased a little bit every year. So Schoology is a helpful tool where you access much of your classroom resources. Always talk to your students about how you can access that and see what's going on in their classes as well. I talked a little bit about indoor and outdoor spaces. Safety drills will happen this year here in a slightly modified version, right? We'll be doing it enhanced, no enhanced lockdowns, but we will do kind of modified lockdowns within our classes. Roofing update, your students probably have talked to you a little bit about the roofing going on at the high school. The area that's kind of not in use right now is down past the Wagner room, that hallway. The hallway is actually officially open today, but the classes right there are not in use because they're still working on those roofs over that area. And then after they finish, I think it's this week, maybe a little bit into next week, then we're going to go down the hallway to that art wing. Then after that, it's really the auditoriums, some finish work. You're looking probably early October before the roofers are out of here and we have a hopefully leak-free building. You know, one thing we wanted to end on, many of you see these little videos, but this is really, we all are becoming our parents. We wanted something that's kind of age appropriate for all of us. So hopefully you like these. It's a 1-minute commercial and then we'll open it up to any Q&A that you guys may have.
Do we really need a sign to live, laugh, and love?
Yes.
The answer is no. I can help new homeowners not become their parents.
Kiana.
Nope.
Chloe Noah.
No. Joaquin. No. It just takes practice. Give it a shot. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
It's a constant battle. We're going to open a PDF. Who's next?
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can.
You know, in one way or another, I think we all are becoming our parents. You know, I find for myself, I do that all the time. But truly, I'll just end with this. New Canaan High School is a special, special place. I wish I could see your faces as we're going through this because for me, that's always the best part of being able to see and connect with people and communicate and have relationships. But, you know, I think we really tried to navigate last year in the best interest of our kids. We came together to do that. Parents working with us as the staff here to try and really do what's right for kids. We're going to continue to do that this year. But at this point, if you have any questions, let's dump them in the Q&A and we'll kind of go through it.
Bill, we had a first. Oh, go ahead. I was saying we had a first question. I'm not sure if any of the current panelists know if SLOB meetings are going to happen virtually or in person this year.
I don't really know that answer, but they can certainly contact Meg either through the PFA directory or the SLOB's website.
And I do know many of the things that are taking place are still, at least for the time being done virtually. You know, we're looking at our parent meetings, obviously like this one, we're doing virtually, but hopefully at some point we get back to being able to have everybody in the building. You know, that's really what we want. You know, but for now we don't have parent volunteers. We don't have yeah, our PFA meetings. But what you do have is if you are need to see a counselor or things like that, the school is not off limits. Last year, we kind of said, well, no parents were coming in the building. That's not the case this year. If there's something that people need, they can come and do that as well. Go ahead.
I was going to ask if we had the date for the club fair.
You know what? It's early October.
Yeah, I believe it's the first Friday in October, which I think is the first, but let me double check that. It's either the first or the 8th.
Yeah,
but I'll get that definitively.
And that most likely will be done in a virtual way as well, instead of having everybody, you know, congested the way they could be during that club fair. Somebody asked a question about the color run. I believe it's going to be the color drop again this year. And looking at March 26th as the date, it's going to be a Saturday. Basically, homecoming dance probably will not be in place. We're going to have homecoming, and if the dance is on the calendar, that should really be off. We may have just put it on last year as we were hoping for things to happen. There will be homecoming. There will be a pep rally of some sort. So that's some of the things that people have asked for, but that will most likely be outside. So we're trying to modify things to make them more air conducive when possible.
Sorry, Bill, we did have the dance on the calendar, but everything on our PFA calendar is just subject to change at all times because of COVID. So it's either to be determined or will be canceled, but we just had a place marker. So I just wanted everybody to know that those are guidelines, but chances are that it'll be changing.
Yeah. But there will be those sporting, I think what we will see this year is last year we kind of lacked activities, to be quite honest. You'll see more activities this year, including full season of sporting events should take place. So that's one of the things that we're really looking forward to as well. What other questions we got? Again, we ask that you use the Q&A. So if you have a question, type it into the Q&A feature.
So there was an additional question there about masks being required on team buses when traveling to sporting events.
Yes. Basically, there's a couple of rules. Indoor mask, outdoor no mask. So they should be wearing masks for any indoor activities, and a bus I'd consider to be an indoor activity as well.
There was a question on if off-campus permission needs to be completed every year, and yes, that needs to be completed every year. This year, sophomores, juniors, and seniors have that privilege, so any parent or guardian of a sophomore, junior, or senior can go into Power School. I don't believe it can be done through the app. I think you need to do it from the desktop version, and then you just go to forms on the left-hand side.
I see somebody asked about open house as well. Yes, open house is tomorrow night. It's virtual. Zoom links should be sent by the end of the day today. So tomorrow morning, I usually send a video. Well, usually we've done this 2 years virtually. I will send a video to everybody welcoming them to open house. And at that point, everybody should have received their links to their classes. And if they didn't, they can contact me personally, and I'll make sure that we get access to people's classes. There are a few rare occasions where a teacher might not be able to make it. And if they can't make it, the video should be sent home. And also an email kind of detailing how they can have an individual conference with you as well. I did send out the open house schedule last week to everybody. It may be posted on the website. I'm going to take a look and see. But if not, I will make sure everybody gets it again. First thing tomorrow, they'll get the schedule. And what I recommend is I'm also giving you a spot where you can enter Zoom links right in the schedule. That is a recommendation and an easy way for you to kind of manage the open house from home. You know, it's interesting. That's one of the things that you talked about the pandemic that people really seem to like was this virtual open house. It really was an opportunity for people with multiple children to navigate from classroom to classroom on a much easier level. Now, I think the social component of our open house is really lovely, but I do think people seem to navigate open house a little bit easier virtually.
I was able to confirm the club fair is scheduled for Friday the 1st, October 1st.
Perfect. We also have, just so everybody knows, our cafeteria is open for late hours as well. So if people need a snack after school for any reason, that's a great time to be able to access that and get that as well. If there are any other questions, I'll gladly take them. Once again, please use the Q&A function if you are asking a question. I know everybody uses Zooms a little bit differently, whether it be the chat feature, the raise hand feature, different things like that. You know, we ask that you use the Q&A feature, please. I'll give it another minute. All right, I don't seem to be seeing any more. So at this point, I guess I will just say goodbye. I hope you guys enjoyed this PFA meeting. And if there's anything that you need in individual basis, feel free to email myself or any other administrator or if it's a question for the PFA, Courtney or Jerry as well. Truly we are here to service you at all times. And if there's anything you need, it looks like another question might have just come in, just to thank you. So if there's anything that you guys need, feel free to reach out to us and anytime. So thank you all. I really appreciate it. At this point, you can stop the